So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the 5 plugins that I use the most. And some of these are really good plugins, some of them are not that good. They're just plugins that I mainly use a lot. Like, I definitely have some good plugins, but I just don't use all my really good plugins just because I don't always need them. Like, I have a lot of building plugins, but I don't use all the building plugins. So yeah. I'm just going to be going over the 5 plugins I use the most, and the first one I'm going to be talking about is Classic Animation Editor. So it's basically like a free version of like Moon Animator, kind of. It's just basically to make poses for people, because like Roblox's animation editor isn't that good. So I use Classic Animation Editor because I don't want to buy Moon Animator. I bet you I could like afford it, but I just don't want it, and they actually might have increased the price of it. So yeah, I really just don't want to buy Moon Animator, and Classic Animation Editor works fine. And yeah, I basically just use it to pose like my character or other characters for YouTube thumbnails. And yeah, I think it works pretty good, but Moon Animator is probably still better. And I've seen the UI of Moon Animator. The UI of Moon Animator is definitely better. So if you think you're gonna actually use it, Moon Animator a lot, I think it's worth it. But I just don't want to buy it because Classic Animation works fine for me, and I think it can work fine for everyone else too. It's honestly not bad, but yeah, they might change the name of it, but I think it's still called Classic Animation Editor, and yeah, I think it's really good still. So yeah, especially for something free. But I mainly just use it to pose for YouTube thumbnails. Like, if you ever seen something in like a YouTube thumbnail like where a Roblox avatar wasn't like something it can be in the game, it's because most likely someone used Moon Animator, Blender, or Classic Animation Editor to pose it. Yeah, and that's just basically what I use to pose things because I don't want to buy Moon Animator. And yeah, so the second plugin that I use the most, it's probably better than that one, is Auto Scale Nightly. So this does cost a bit of Robux. I don't know how much, but I think it's like 200 or something or less. But Moon Animator costs like, I don't know, like 1700 or more, probably more. So yeah, I think this one's still better. And yeah, so this one it's called Auto Scale Nightly, and basically just scales what is it called, Roblox UI. So basically what it does is just, it has a couple things. It has smart scale, normal size and position, and then there's also like another paid version of it, and it's called it's called Auto Scale Plus, and they stopped updating that version though. So I bought before, I didn't really like use my old auto scale one that much. So there's like a free version. I used to use the free version, but I didn't use it that much back then. So like I never came around to buying Auto Scale Plus, and then they already had come out with Auto Scale Nightly when I finally like planned on buying it. So I just decided to buy Auto Scale Nightly because it was a little more expensive, but they actually update it. So I'd rather take the one that's like 50 Robux more and they actually update it versus the one they don't update that much anymore. Like, yeah, so I think Auto Scale Nightly is worth it, but you don't need it. It really, all it does better is it has a smart scale button. So just basically you click on your UI, it like will basically know what it is and just like add stuff to it, like add like scaling things to it that makes it stay right, and basically it just knows what it is, so you don't have to manually click scale or like do like a text scale for each one. So yeah, it works better like that. And but the free one basically does the same thing. It's just it takes longer, the process is longer to auto scale things, but still is definitely worth using the plugin, because if you were to manually like scale this stuff yourself, it's going to take forever to keep it so the size you want. And it just also makes it really easy because it changes offset straight to scale, so you don't have to manually figure out what the offset to scale is, because offset is not what you're supposed to be using most of the time, because scale works on different screens. It basically scales down. Offset will not change based on the screen. So if your game's computer only or one device only, then that's great, because if it's one device only, then you can use offset. But scale, you want scale so it works for multiple devices. So yeah, that's basically just what Auto Scale Nightly does. Just basically scales everything easily, so it makes your UI adjust for each screen really easily. And yeah, it has the smart scale button, but you could basically just get the free version. It's like Auto Scale like free or something, I don't know, but or Auto Scale Lite, that's what it's called, and just basically won't have smart scale. It's just you'll have to manually click all the buttons for it, so it just makes the process a little faster. But still, the entire plugin makes the process a little faster. So the paid plugin is just basically making the process of the process thing already already made it faster. I don't know how to explain it. It just basically speeds up the process of using the plugin. That makes the process faster in the first place. Yeah, that's basically what all it is. And then the third plugin I'm going to be saying that I use the most is pretty much, I think it's going to be Archimedes. Okay, so it's either between Archimedes or Brush Tool, but I honestly don't build that much. But I think I use Archimedes more because I use paths a lot versus I don't build like forest or like terrain that much. So yeah, I feel like I use Archimedes more just for simple paths and stuff like that, because Archimedes is great at that and just stuff like that. But Brush Tool I use like for just basically placing around terrain and like trees and stuff, and I don't feel like I do that much, so I think I use Archimedes way more. And basically all Archimedes does is it makes it really easy to create nice paths or roads, so I think it's a great plugin, and it's definitely one of the actually good plugins I use, because I told you the classic animation one is not that good. It's just I use it because I don't want to pay for Moon Animator. And yeah, I think that's basically a third plugin I use. I really think I just don't use either one of them that much, but I know I use Archimedes more than Brush Tool, so yeah. And basically the next one that I use is going to be ROS Particle Editor. So this plugin is a little different than normal plugins. You don't like click on the, you don't, after you install it, you don't click on a little icon to pop it up. So it's like when you're using like what is it called, when you're using like VFX particle emitters, when you're using particle emitters, it will pop up on the side versus you have to click a little button for it to activate. So yeah, it's basically every time you pull up a particle emitter, this little thing will pop up, and it's the ROS particle editor thing, and it just basically makes making VFX way easier. And I make VFX way more than I build, so yeah, I actually use this plugin a lot, and it's a great plugin. I think it's a really good plugin that I use. And there's another like there's another VFX plugin I use called like something emitter, but I don't use it as much because all it does is emit things. The only thing it's useful for is when you have multiple particle emitters and you want them to each to emit a different amount, but only to emit to, not to stay constant forever, just to do it once. And that's the only thing it's really useful for. It can emit a different amount for each one versus the ROS particle editor emits the same amount for each one. So yeah, I feel like I use ROS particle editor a lot more though, because it makes like what is it called, like kind of like tweening the particles, like tweening them. I think it makes that easier and just stuff like that easier. So yeah, I use that one a lot. And yeah, the last plugin that I'm gonna say I use the most is honestly Tool Grip Editor. This is not the best plugin. I don't even think I have the right one, honestly, because usually the right one has like a little pops up like a little like NPC on the side. Well, mine doesn't do that. It pops up at like the center of the map. It doesn't like make it a little UI. It's like an actual rig gets spawned into the map. So yeah, I don't think I have the even correct one, but like, or the actually the newer version one. But I use Tool Grip Editor because like I'm constantly for YouTube thumbnails and just other things using tools. And yeah, especially for YouTube thumbnails, if I want to have like a tool in my hand, then I have to use Tool Grip Editor to make it grip in the right place, because I'm not going to manually type out the gripping. I've never once typed out the gripping because I just always use Tool Grip Editor. And I feel like whenever I'm just making like swords or stuff in my games, then yeah, I pretty much use it. So I think Tool Grip Editor is a great plugin pretty much. And yeah, that's pretty much all the plugins I use the most. So I do have a lot of other plugins. Like I have Team Crate with hats. That one costs, I don't know, like 300 Robux or something, maybe more. But I don't like, it's not a plugin you use that much. It's just something that like you have. So yeah, there's definitely other plugins that I probably use more, but like Team Crate with hats, but they're not actually really in use. It's like Team Crate with hats only works when I'm in the like studio with other people at the same time, but it's always active. So yeah, but yeah, I think that's pretty much all the plugins I pretty much use. I have a lot of other plugins, but I just realistically don't use plugins too much. I only mainly use them for like YouTube thumbnails or other simple tasks. The only one I really use a lot, I feel like, is Tool Grip Editor and ROS Particle Editor. Those are definitely two ones I use the most, because whenever I'm making VFX, I need ROS Particle Editor. It just makes tweening the VFX so much easier. And yeah, I think all the plugins I have are worth getting. I'll scale nightly. If you really don't want to buy it, it's just all scale like pretty much works the same, just won't have smart scale. And yeah, I think that's just all the plugins I use. So this is gonna be the end of my video. Subscribe to help the channel. Bye.